Good afternoon, everyone. I see so many of you have joined. It's so nice to see you too. Thanks for saying that, Priya. Today we are going to start with the sessions of business correspondence and reporting. And just I believe this is your first session with me today, and otherwise also this is your first session of the subject as well. So I am going to brief you about the subject first, and about from the exams point of view, why we are doing this, and everything. I'll start from the beginning about the subject. But before that, I would like to discuss few things which are very essential for this subject and for these classes, right? First thing first, I think you all need to have your study material along with you because we strictly follow the study material published by ICI. We go according to the topics mentioned. So I will be moving in the same sequence as they are mentioned in the study material. So you need to have your study material so that you know what sequence I am following and how I'm going about it, right? The second thing is that you should have your notebook or pen and pencil with you so that you can note down what is relevant to you because while I'm teaching, I write a lot of things on my notepad and which you can see it on your screens. And if you find anything essential, you can note it down for your exams or maybe in general, whatever you like. So you should always have pen, paper, pencil with you. Okay. The other thing is from my experience from past few sessions that I've always been taking, I've realized that students end up asking some random questions. By random questions, I mean, for example, I jump from one chapter to another chapter. Once this chapter is done, I'll start with my another chapter. And everybody ends up asking me questions about the other chapters. And this happens with everyone, I guess. Please don't do that because that distracts us. Ask questions which are relevant to the session and relevant to the particular chapter that we are doing. So probably if there are some doubts that you have in this session, you can of course ask me in the next session that I will be taking up again for this chapter. But then when I go to the next chapter, don't ask me questions about chapter number 1, right? So please ask relevant questions. Don't ask me questions which are not relevant right now. The other thing is I keep reading posts and again. I always have eyes on the query sheet that you will be sending up to me. I mostly try to answer everything, but in case I leave anything or I miss out onto anything, please post it again. Probably around 3 o'clock or before 4 o'clock for sure, so that I can answer again. I don't waste my time looking for the query that you're talking about, right? So you can just repost it again that, ma'am, you missed out onto this. Please answer this question, right? So these are the few things. And if there is anything else that you want to ask me right now, please ask me. If there is any question that you have in mind related to this subject, please ask me. I'm happy to answer you that. Okay, so I have this one query and from Abhinav. Abhinav, I was about to come to this thing. So basically, I am teaching business correspondence and reporting, which is all about English language. Of course, about business language, not general English, but at the end of the day, I am teaching a subject which is the core English, subject English, which is based on the subject English. So unfortunately, I cannot teach in Hindi. I understand that there are some students who would find it difficult to catch up with and to, difficult to understand what I'm saying. Because I also understand that we have students coming from different sections of the state and not everybody is efficient or proficient with the language English. But I will try to make it as simple as for you. My language will be a little simple. Saurabh, can you please repeat? Yes, I'm getting your query. So in case you had posted any questions or in the beginning, please repost it. Okay, but I'm getting your comment. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I will try to make it as simple as possible. I have already made the PPT, which I will get it uploaded after the session. So that is pretty simple. That is all based on study material, but it is a little simpler. And also along with that, I usually write it on my board that you can see. So while I'm speaking, I write it so that, people who are not very proficient in understanding English, they can at least see and understand. And this is a very, very important thing. It's called visual understanding. So basically, when you look at something and then you understand, right? And which is also kind of a communication. It's a visual communication, which is you will understand as I proceed in this chapter. Okay. Okay, few questions, which again, I always say it before my sessions start. I'm not sure about the weightage of this chapter. Everybody's asking me what is the weightage of this chapter. I think you get 2 questions of 2 or 3 marks each from this chapter. But you have to understand the idea of teaching you this subject is not to get you the marks. Overall, this subject carries 40 marks in your paper 2, right? This is the section B of your paper 2. So this carries 40 marks in totality. But our idea is not to just pass this exam. Our idea is to understand and make the most, out of this subject, because this subject is one particular subject that is going to stay with you for life. Okay. There is a reason that why this subject has been introduced, right? And there is a reason why we are all sitting here. So the idea, please don't focus on the marks. Of course, that should be one part of the focus, but also try to understand and do what all of us, the entire faculty, has to suggest you to improve your English, or to work around the subject, because that is going to help you in the long run when you will become professionals, when you'll be doing your own business. These things will help you, and this is primarily the reason of introducing this subject, right? Because it has become the essential part of our lives, all of us, right? No matter what we are doing, no matter we are in which trade, no matter we are in which profession, this has become part of our life, and this is primarily why we all are here, and we're going to be studying this subject in details, right? And okay, is there any other question? So I request you not to ask about the weightage of this chapter or in any chapter that I'm taking. That is not really important. Okay. Although if you really want to know about the weightage, probably I'll just calculate the weightage today and share it with you guys in the next class. Or the previous year's questions are available on the website already. So you can just go through that and you can see the weightage of the subject. Okay, now I'm very happy to see some of you are very excited for the subject and very excited for this session. I'm very happy. I'll ask you 2 simple questions. Are my instructions clear? Please say yes or no. Sekaldeep, I am not a CA. Tarun, depends. There are few questions that you will be getting in this, that you will be studying as we proceed. For example, the from chapter 2 and chapter 3, the chapter 2, chapter 3, and maybe somewhere around comprehension as well. So sentence types, vocabulary, and comprehension. Probably yes, you might get full marks if you're good and if you are correct with your answers. But otherwise, I think for all the other things, and for the communication chapter also, maybe. But for the other subjects, for the other topics, I think you need to work on that to get full marks. Okay, great. So many of you answered, it is clear. Is there anyone who is not understanding what I am speaking? And I probably tend to get fast when I'm speaking, when I'm in the flow. So in case you think that I'm very fast, I'm going very fast, you can just message me and say that, ma'am, please go a little slow, speak a little slow, so that, we understand what you're saying. Oh, yes. No, I'm not. I'm not teaching you any subject which is related to accounts, or, anything that related to this thing. I'm teaching English here. Okay. And for that, you don't need to be a CA to teach English. No, I'm not. Okay, slow. Okay, Manish, I get it. I will be a little slow. Great. So now can we start with the chapter? Oh yes, oh yes. I take a lot of quizzes in the between. Once I keep doing my after I complete the topics, and probably towards the end, I take up a little quiz session, or I just throw away the questions that you need to answer. So try to answer as many. I mean, if you can, because that would actually help me understand how much you have understood, and that would make you understand how much you know, right? Also, just two more things left before I start with the session. One is a feedback form. We request you to fill the feedback form after the session, because that is very important for us, and that is very important for you as well. Important for us because we need to know that how the session went, are things clear to you, and that helps us to improve for our next session. So definitely fill up the feedback form, and we understand it how much you understood. Okay, Rahul, thank you. I know probably I'll show you the next class. Today, let's start with the chapter 1. Okay, all the best, guys. Let's start. I hope your study materials and pen, paper, pencils are ready. And let's start with our chapter number 1, which is communication. Let me share my PPT with you. All right, can you see my PPT? Good afternoon, guys. Okay, so now what is communication? What do you understand by the word communication? Is there anyone who can answer me that? Is there anyone who knows what? Because this is something that we do every day. That's part of our lives. That's just part of any human's life. So, what do you actually understand about communication? What is it? Just tell me in simple language. What do you understand about communication? Okay. Most of you are pretty there. Yes, it's exchanging of information and ideas. It is transacting. It is expressing. It is exchanging, transfer, sharing. Okay, so many vocabulary words you've all used together. Interacting, transferring of ideas. Okay. All right. So, in the simplest of meaning, it means the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions through speech, signals, writing, or behavior. Okay. So, communication overall includes a lot of things. Of course, the way we talk is communication. The way our tones fluctuate, like sometimes we are very sweet, sometimes we are angry, sometimes we are sad. So the tone in which we speak is also kind of communication. Our body language, our facial expressions, everything is communication. If you see, communication is a broad term that we use. Okay. And all right, guys, I got it. You all know what it is. Great. So, communication includes a lot of things. Yes, it is exchanging of thoughts, ideas, but it is not only the way of speaking. There's so many other ways of communicating with one another. You can write, You can, of course, with your eyes, with your tone, with your facial expressions, with your body language, how you dress up, and how you feel. Everything is about communication. Okay, everything is communication because you are communicating something or the other. For example, a mother is upset with the child. Okay, the child comes back home and the mother is very upset and she's so furious to see the dirty clothes the child has done. Okay, she doesn't say anything to him directly, but makes certain kind of expression. We all know how mothers look angrily. Yes, we can just look at mother's face and we understand that she's happy or she's sad or she's angry, right? So she's communicating that I'm very angry with you. This was not acceptable. Okay, without even saying anything, the child understands that my mom is not very happy with me, right? Even the small kids understand through their mom's expressions, right? They don't understand what you're saying, but they understand how you make them feel. So this is also very this is also a way of expressing yourself, and this is also kind of communication, right? Do we get it? Okay, now just Prince, unfortunately, I cannot speak in Hindi. Okay. I can be a little slow, but I cannot speak in Hindi. That's not allowed. Okay. So just try to catch up with me. Just have your study material right in front of you. Like this is the study material that I have. See, even I make notes. Okay. So you have to make notes similarly so that you understand better. Can you all see? Uh-oh. Yeah, now you can see, right? So this is the way we all study and we make notes. Now, what all are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about what is communication in details, what is the process, and what all is involved. We will be talking about the process I've told you. We'll be talking about the types of communication and skills required for effective communication. I'm not sure that's there in your subject or not, but I will at least tell you so that you can improve yourself. Skills required for effective communication. Now, business English. Business English, what is it? And how is it different from general English? Why are we studying this subject? Because this subject is all about business English. This is not general English that we're studying. Okay. All the topics that are covered in this subject are part of business communication, business English, not part of general. I mean, it's part of general English also, but our focus is business English. So we are teaching it from the perspective of business English. What all things you would need in your trade, in your profession, and eventually. Broad categories of communication. Like I told you, communication is a big umbrella. And we're going to just, study one thing or the other, how everything comes into play, what are the different levels or what are the different kinds of communication and how things work, right? Now, this is also part of why business English is being introduced as part of the business English question per se, and explanation of categories of communication. So then after that, I will come on the explanation of categories of communication. Okay, so this is all we'll do. I'll try to finish all of this. If something is left, then I'll take up in the next session, which I have with you all on Wednesday. Now, you all said it right, which is, that communication is a process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We all get it. Now, how do we do that? What is the process involved in it? How do we do that? Before the process, what are the two main components of the communication? There has to be one sender, the one who is sending out the information, the one who is sending out the words, right? Anything. There is one person who's listening, receiving it, right? So to have a communication, there has to be two people, right? One is a sender, other is a receiver, right? Communication is only effective if listener responds, right? If I am talking and if you all are not responding, then it's not an effective communication. When I ask you questions, you say yes. That is when the communication is completed and it is effective because you understand what I'm saying, right? Two parties, yes, Anushka. Okay, the some of you have been asking me for Hindi. Um, I'll have to take permission because I think this subject specifically, for this subject, I cannot use Hindi, because if I'm using Hindi, then the entire purpose of the subject is defeated. There's no purpose of the subject if I have to teach English in Hindi to you guys, right? But I'll take permission if in case I get permissions from the institute, I'll try to speak. Okay. Vinodhini, okay, I'll slow down. Now look at the screens. Okay. Now I'm going to start with okay. Let's start with this. Now, in the process of communication, I told you there is a sender and then there is a receiver too. Okay. I'm just going to repeat myself a little bit because I believe and I understand that some of you who have not understood what I have said earlier. Communication is the exchange of ideas, information, thoughts, feelings, emotions. Now, how do we do that? We do it with different mediums. Now, what all are those mediums? Speech. Speech is like while speaking. Signals, while giving out, the signals that, you need this or that. Writing. Of course, you communicate while writing. When you're writing. So, for example, you're writing an email, okay, and that is received by somebody else, and then that the other person responds back to you. So you both are basically communicating through the medium of writing, right? And you're expressing yourself, and at the same time you're exchanging what you feel and what you want, or what you want this thing, how this thing should be done. So writing. The other is behavior. Okay, how you behave with somebody, like I told you. Your body language, your tone, your facial expression says it all, right? So that you kind of communicate through that as well. Okay, just give me a second. Kalyani, no, I did not say that communication was not completed if the listener doesn't respond to you back. I said it is not an effective communication. There is a difference between being effective and being completed. Okay, so completed is, of course, when one person talking, the other understands and responds back, and the communication is going on. But if one person is talking, right, and the other is not responding properly, I would say then it's not an effective communication. Then there was something lacking in the communication. Yes, Prince, this is the first class. Good, Anushka, that is the spirit. Okay, one second. I think that this thing is not clear to you. I'll just change the settings. One second. Is it better now? Priya, I can speak a little fast, but there are few children who are not able to understand, so I cannot. I have to maintain the speech. Because there's some students who need to understand. Medium is not the process. Medium is through what you are doing something, right? For example, somebody asks you, medium is basically through what? Okay, so if you're communicating, how are you communicating? Through, speech, probably through writing. So which medium you're using to communicate yourself? All right. So, okay. So these are the different mediums of communication. Now let's come on to the process. Now, what is the process? Now, the process involves one is the sender. Now, sender is the one who generates the message, okay, encodes the message. Okay. Now, there's a sender who is also called as encoder. Encoder is the one who encodes the message. Okay, that means generation. The sender generates the message. Generates means makes the message, or think of the message, what needs to be said and everything. Now, symbolically, it could be anything in any form. It could be in the form of words. It can be the form of pictures. It can be the form of gestures. It can be in any form. Okay, so there is a sender who thinks of a message and encodes basically that how I want to send this message and how this message has to be generated. So the sender thinks of the words that, okay, the sender wants to send it in words, or maybe by pictures or my gestures or anything, right? Now, then the sender sends the message using any medium. Okay. Now that media could be anything. It could be, face to face. It could be telephone. It could be internet. It could be post, fax, email, anything. Okay. Orally or in writing, whatever the sender decides, then it decides the medium, okay, or the channel through which this needs to be sent. Okay. Then comes the receiver who basically decodes the message. Okay, now decoding is a process of converting the message and understanding it. Okay, the decoding and encoding, it happens in the brain. There is no process. Like, it doesn't happen with us that, you have received the message and then you start processing it. It is an automatic process which happens. It's a mental activity, I would say. Encoding and decoding is the mental activity. When you think what it is and what it means, right? And I mean, there's no software for it. You don't put it and then you encode and decode. No, it sounds like that, but it's a mental activity. You do it in your brain. Okay. Then it decodes the message and processes the information and sends back appropriate feedback or reply. Then after the receiver receives a message and decodes, then thinks of what needs to be responded back. Okay, so this is the entire process of communication. So there's a sender who's also an encoder who encodes the message and then sends it through any channel, whichever he prefers, probably internet, phone, or face-to-face, they're talking, whatever, right? And then there's a receiver who decodes the message. Are we clear till here? Are we clear? When I say that the communication is effective when the listener responds relevantly and appropriately, right? That does not mean that the communication was not completed. It was completed. Effectively means that what the words that you chose and the medium that you chose was perfect. If the listener understands exactly and the listener interprets exactly what you were trying to say, right? That way you understand that what you were trying to do has reached its purpose. The purpose is completed, right? Any problem so far? Any questions? Yes, Sora, definitely you can compare medium to language. Language is also a medium. So, for example, you choose English for the communication because you understand the other person also understands English. But if the other person doesn't understand English and only understands Hindi, right, and you are speaking in English, that means the communication is not completed. Okay, and this is also a medium. You choose which language in which language you want to express yourself. Okay. Chaitanya, it's both, but it's more subjective. It's objective, subjective, both, but it's more distinct. Like I said, ask relevant questions. Right now, I'm teaching. Don't ask me questions which are related to the exam. I'm not going to answer them. Because decodes means process of converting the symbols or the words or the pictures that the sender has sent. So basically, when you try to understand what it is. See, the communication was effective. What I was trying to teach you, you all understood, right? And now you're responding back to me by saying, yes, ma'am, we understood. This way, the communication was effective because there is sender. I am the sender here. I'm encoding the message and I'm sending through. So right now, what is happening? We are chit-chatting it's an oral communication going on, right? I'm talking to you over the video call, right? So it's a verbal communication which is going on. And you listen to me and then you respond back saying, yes, ma'am, it is clear. Okay, that way, what is my medium? So basically, I'm using internet here. I'm using the video conferencing here to communicate with you, right? So this is my medium. And then, of course, I've chosen English language as my medium again, right? So you listen to me, you decode in your mind what I'm trying to say, and then you feel that you've got the message, you have understood what I'm saying. So when I ask you that, have you understood? You say, yes, the communication has been effective. Now you understand the process? No, encoding is generating. So when I'm like typing the message, I'm thinking of the words, what I need to send a message. That is all encoding, right? There was one question that I read. If the message is received in the same sense. Sakaldeep, if you've been sent a message and you understand also, so automatically you will respond something, right? Not verbally, at least by shaking your head that you agree with the person, or if you're sitting face to face, you probably show you move your eyes and say that, okay, I get it, what you're saying, I understand, or I agree with you, right? It doesn't mean that you need to express yourself in your words only. These days, you have these emojis also on WhatsApp, right? You are telling somebody that, you agree with the person, right? So that is also a way of communicating. But emojis is not a business English part. So yes, Anjana, the case study can come. Oh, yes, 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 you can, Harsh. Of course, you can use different mediums or two mediums together. Okay, so let's get back to my PPT. Okay, so now let's try to understand what are the types of communication. Now, types of communication. Before that, I would like you to answer this question. Why do you think everybody should understand different types of communications or different styles of communications? You have to understand that everybody has their own style of communicating. Everybody has their own way of expressing, right? But so it's very important to at least know different types. What does that mean? I have my own style. I know about my style. Perfect. But if I know about different styles, I know how people behave in a certain way or how people talk in a certain way. How does that thing can help me to understand each other? Good, Bhumika. Yes, very good. Quickly, why it is important to know different styles of communication? For clear understanding, okay, to make communication effective, that's of course the primary goal. Primary goal. Anybody else who would like to answer? Kriti, I'm reading everybody's messages. Don't worry. Okay. So basically, if I have to tell you, it basically enhances the personal and professional relationships. So if you understand the different styles and different way of talking and how you know the different mediums, that can actually help you improve your professional and personal relationships because you will understand everybody's style and what they're trying to say. It also resolves any kind of misunderstanding or misconception. So probably you would understand what other person is trying to say better, and that will, in that case, you can avoid any kind of misunderstanding and miscommunication. Okay. The other thing is that you contribute to a successful business venture and a joyful personal life. So if you are able to understand what the other person is trying to say, if you understand, their style or the way they talk or the type of communication that they prefer talking, you will have a successful business relationship as well as personal. Now, to know about communication does not only help you in business, but it also helps you personally. Like I said, communication is part of our lives. We communicate ever since we open our eyes in the morning till before till the time we sleep. We are always talking, right, in some way or the other. right? So this is what it is. Yes, good Sahajpreet. Yes, Divya, your message is clear and I can see your messages. Don't make this angry emoji. I understand. It's not possible for me to read and take out everybody's name. I'm getting like about 25, 30 queries at the same time. Okay, so please understand, I go through everybody's, but I cannot take out everybody's name one by one. I get all the queries. Don't worry. Okay, great. So this was about it. This was about why good understanding of comprehension is important. And the effectiveness of communication depends on upon whether the receiver has accurately interpreted the intended ideas, thoughts, or feelings or not. So again, if you don't know the style, if you don't know the what they're talking about, how will you express yourself as a receiver? And like I said, if you read my last point, sometimes the speaker reveals more than he or she wished to convey through tone or gesture, right? Sometimes people convey more, okay, through their tones and their gestures. Now, let's look at the categories of communication, which is verbal, non-verbal, and visual. This is based on the channels, right? The medium that you're choosing. So are you choosing the written form? Are you using the speaking form or the orally, or are you using what you see? So you're communicating through videos, something like that. Now, based on purpose and style, so there are two types of categories. First is communications channels, the other is the purpose and the style. So the purpose and style, we have formal and informal, and we have various other things under these headings also. Okay, not just this, we have so much more. Okay, but so before we start with the categories of communication, let's talk about business English now. If you want to know where am I according to the study material, I am going from page number 1.2 to 1.3. So if you see, I'm moving in the sequence so that no topic is missed. Now let's talk about the business communication or business English. Now, English is one language that is used globally. Most of the people understand English, so which helps you to communicate, within your country and internationally as well. I always say that if I travel to South, maybe, right? And there was just one of you who messaged by saying that don't teach in Hindi because we are from South and we don't understand Hindi. So I am going to take up. I'm going to take the same example, and this example I give in almost my every session that I take. That if I know English and I know Hindi, and there is this, somebody from any state of South, and they only understand their regional language and English. So, which is a language that I have to communicate with them? I only have English, right? That bonds us together, that binds us together. Otherwise, I won't be able to talk to this person, right? So similarly, and there's so many other countries. Yes, Panti, I'm going to take up everything one by one. Sirindhi, I get your message. Please stop repeating it. Now, myriad means countless or extremely great number of people or things. Okay. So it says myriad of channel. Myriad of channels means that you have so many channels, like you just cannot even calculate. These days, you have so many channels to communicate to somebody. It means countless. Okay. Okay. Now, coming back to it. So English is one language that is used globally, and this is why it is very important. Now, we divide it into two sections, which is one is general English and one is, business English. Now, what is general English? General English is the English that we use in everyday, our in everyday situations. We use it normally, right? In that case, we don't need to think, are we formal, we are informal, or, about vocabulary, maybe, we don't have to think about anything. We just talk in the flow, right? But the business English is very specific. You are talking to somebody who's in the same trade, and you're talking about something very important and something very specific to your business. In that case, you use business English, right? I'm going to tell you, give you simple examples of how these two things are, what is the difference basically? So when you will see the sentences, you understand that how things change from general English to business English. Now, where all you will be using this? You will be using this while talking to somebody formally in your trade. You will be using it while writing, writing your emails. You are preparing some documentations. You're preparing some report or something. And for the chapters, for the, after all the writing skills chapter that you have in this course, if you see report writing, article writing, and everything, you will be using business English because all the chapters are from the perspective of business. Okay, so we will be teaching you that how to use and what kind of English you are supposed to use in those writing skills. You cannot write general English because at the end of the day, we are preparing you for the future, for your professional future, right? And these things, these are such things that you will be using it so much every day that will become part of your professional life, right? This is why I'm saying that don't focus on exams, focus on how to improve yourself, because this is going to take you a long way. Okay. So this was about business English. Now, like I said, language is the most common medium to communicate, of course. Most popular language is English. Business English is important for trade and commerce. It brings clarity, has specific vocabulary and grammatical structures. Now, there's specific structures that you need to follow. Okay. Now, you have this is very essential for getting ahead at the workplace. Like I said, this is something that will become part of your life. You have to use it every day, at every moment when you are at work. This can take you ahead. So how you express yourself, written or orally at your workplace, will definitely impact and shape up who you are. So that will definitely help you to go ahead. Improving your business English vocabulary and knowledge will help you work effectively, of course. So like I just said, that if you know the different styles of communication, that helps you to go ahead, right? In the same way, if you have knowledge about vocabulary, if you have knowledge about business English, you will be able to understand what the other persons are trying to say effectively, and then you can work better. It opens career opportunity. Just imagine you don't know English and you probably become anything. You can choose for yourself. For example, you can be a teacher maybe, or doctor. So these days at so many places, the requirement is that you should know English, right? So if you don't know English, there are places where you can actually apply and go ahead. But if you know English, you have more opportunities. And not only in your own country. If you know this language, you can apply outside the country as well, of course. And if you do not know this language, then how will you apply? So that limits your career opportunities. Helps in developing interview skills, write emails with clarity. Now, this makes you more confident in your interview. And this helps you how you need to speak during your interview. We will be taking up these case studies one by one in the next 2 sessions. So you will understand that what we are trying to say. If you speak in a general English and if you speak in a business English, how things can change. Increase your awareness of business topics and issues. Now, there's so many magazines and newspapers. For example, magazine like Business Week, right? They publish a lot of things about only they only publish about trade and professionals and all of that, and they use a lot of business English, right? So if you do not understand, of course, again, you don't understand the style of business English, then I think your absorption of knowledge gets reduced somewhere, right? You won't be able to reduce as much as you can if you understand it. Okay. Now, business English, if you see the last statement in bold, which says business English is used for correspondence and reporting. Okay. This is what this chapter is all about, or the subject is about, which is business correspondence and reporting. And this is why we are introducing business English to you, right? Everything else will be specific to business English. Whether you're doing grammar, whether you're doing vocabulary, whether you're doing report writing, article writing, comprehension skills, everything will be talking around and around of business English. Am I clear? Yes. Okay. Now let's look at these examples that I have to share with you that will make you understand what am I saying here. This is just for your knowledge. I am not saying you will get the questions from here, but this is only for your knowledge that what is the difference between general English and business English. Okay, now focus. Now the focus is in general English, we talk about everyday stuff, daily routine. So we use we just use the language casually. But in business English, our focus is our trade or our profession or our business on which we're focusing. So we need to know about the words that are specific to a business, right? And the technical terms and everything. Then comes the vocabulary part. Again, vocabulary it could be related to the topic here, what we're talking about, but here it has to be related to the business topic that we are discussing, right? Then comes the skills. Now, in general English, basic skills that you need to know is about reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Okay, these are the basic skills that you need to know for the general English. But for the business English, you should know the skills like negotiation, presenting, how to give presentations, about the telephone skills. So you have this specific way of talking when you're talking somebody formally over phone. Probably you're connecting with somebody for the first time and you're connecting it for the business. There's a specific way of talking. You are basically communicating. You've called up to some office to ask about some job opening. Again, that is very specific. So you need to know how to start the conversation and how to talk and what are words to use. Then socializing and everything, networking basically. So you, of course, when it comes to business English, you will be networking with the people of your own trade. So again, how to talk there. Then comes the grammar. Please understand, in both cases, grammar is very important. Grammar is a foundation of any language, right? But the structures can differ how to use, but that structure will also be dependent on the vocabulary. Okay, are we clear? Are we clear? Now let me just give you one or two examples of what I'm saying here. Okay. Now look at these two examples. One which is mentioned in pink, and one which is mentioned in green. Now tell me, let's look at the pink one first. A and B. A says, I got your invoice, and B says, I received your invoice. Now, both are trying to say the same thing. Okay. The meaning is not different. But which one do you think is a general English statement and which one is a business English statement? And only in the statements which are written in pink, just tell me which is business English and which is the general English. Great. So A is general and B is business English. Now, I got your invoice is very general, very casual. But if saying I received your, so you don't use the word got in business English, you use the word received, a proper word for it, right? Similarly, in the next one, which is general, which is business. Yeah, so B is more formal, right, Komal? In the next one also, A is general and B is business. Now you don't say I need your help, like just generally. But you can say I require some assistance. Okay. That makes it more formal, that makes it more sophisticated, and that is more business English like, right? So there are few words that you basically interchange. For example, to use make sure, instead of using make sure, you use ensure. Instead of fix, you can use the word solve, right? Use proper words. Get in touch. Contact. Okay. Am I clear? Okay. Now I'm going to stop here for the 5 minutes break. But before I go for the break, is there any problem that you have? Is there any query that you have? You can ask me now till whatever we have done. Oh, yeah. Just one last thing before I go for the break for the 5 minutes. To you. First is helps in understanding your core subject. So basically, it helps you to understand your other subjects that you are doing for your foundation course and what you'll be doing henceforth. So this was understand you, and whatever in these 3 4 years, whatever you learn and whatever you grasp from your profession, the subjects, you can interpret it in a better way and you can start writing in a better way in your exams that can actually help you later on. Better presentation of answers in exams to maximize score. No, empty, I'm not. Okay. So, better presentation of answers in exam to maximize scores would help in communicating with your colleague and business entities within or outside the organization. I told you this is going to help you to communicate with people amongst your circle. Facilitate better understanding of formal workplace communication. All right. So, this basically helps you to understand better about what is happening in your workspace. All right. Okay, so you can leave your queries. I'm going to take a 5 minutes break and I will join back at 3:05 and then we'll start with the verbal communication and non-verbal communication and visual communication, of course. So I will be finishing up these three things in today's session. Okay. from this subject itself. And we will be discussing those case studies in the next class. Please provide us some tips so that we can improve our command over language. Avinash, reading and listening. They are the two things that can actually help you. You can't listen to me? Hello? Sir, एक बार चेक करेंगे, आवाज नहीं आ रही है. Hello? Because बच्चे students लिख रहे हैं कि I'm not audible. काफी लोग लिख रहे हैं. Hello? 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 Okay, I think I'm audible now. Just checked. Okay. So we start. Somebody had asked me the question about case study. I've told you that about the case study. I have told you that for the case studies, yes, you might get a case study from this subject. And there are some examples also given in your study material, which we will be discussing when we get there. How you can improve the command over language. Avinash, I think first reading, listening, then you should speak the language, right? You need to practice these three skills. So reading, you can pick up any book for the language, for the general language, and for the business English, you can pick up the magazines or books that are related to business topics. And listening, when I say listening, you should watch videos in English, right? You should watch documentaries. You have so many talk shows and which are specific to business topics. And of course, some news channels you can just watch to improve your language. Then speaking. So what you read and what you listen, if you do not practice that, and if you do not use that in your speaking, then you won't get, habitual with the words, with the kind of, the grammar used, the kind of vocabulary used. So it's very important to speaking. And if you can write, good for you. Write just anything and write and just, go back and read again what you've written so that you can improve yourself next time when you're writing. And these are the things that can actually help you to improve. Okay. So let's get back to our PPT. I cannot hear you all, but you can respond to me by writing, right? So that is the written communication because you're able to respond to me while writing. Clear? Yes. Any problem so far? Okay. Verbal meets spoken medium can be categorized in two types. One is the written communication, the other is the oral communication. Now, written communication means that when you're writing letters, documents, emails, reports, handbooks, brochures, various chat platform, SMS. Now, why brochures? So if I am publishing an ad, okay, and through a brochure and I'm getting it circulated everywhere. So I am communicating through that brochure to everyone that there's so and so new product in the market, you should try, and the words that I write on it, basically when I'm marketing about my product in the written form, that is also communication, right? Okay. So now the other thing is that it is important and indispensable for formal business interaction, written communication, because you have to prepare reports, you have to prepare various documents when you're working, you have to write emails and give approvals, take approvals. There's so much going on. So written communication is an indispensable part, which is very important for everyone. Then, of course, the legal instructions and documentations. When you're doing your own thing, there's so many legalities involved that you need to take care of. Again, that requires written communication. Clear? Yes. Now, the effectiveness of written communication depends on the writing style, grammar, vocabulary, and clarity. Now, if your writing skill doesn't have a writing style, it doesn't have a proper use of grammar, it doesn't have the proper use of vocabulary, and it doesn't clearly expresses your thoughts, then the written communication goes waste. It is not effective anymore, right? Because the other person doesn't understand what you're trying to say. Are we clear? This is pretty much easy. So is it clear? Can you hear me now? Hello. Hello. I think I'm audible. You should check your own systems. Sir, पता नहीं बच्चे सब लिख रहे हैं. I know I'm audible. I've just checked on my phone. Indispensable means something that you cannot avoid or you cannot separate it. Right? That's very, very essential. That's part of your thing. Okay. Singh, Manoj Singh, this is exactly why I said that you say that you can write English, but you cannot talk. So you need to practice. The practice can only make you perfect. Like I just said that you need to, or probably what you write, you can just read out loudly. So that will help you get better. No, Barkatullah, I am not. Yeah, that could be the network issue. Seshpreet, network issue. Okay, great. So next is the oral communication, which is again very important and something that we all practice on everyday basis. Now, the first thing is refers to the conversation done through spoken words. Now, this is the one kind of communication which is done through spoken words. It can be face to face, it can be on telephone, it could be a voice chat, It could be a video conferencing. Right now, what we're doing is video call, right? Video conferencing. So you guys can see me. I cannot, but you can see me, right? So from my side, this is a verbal communication, right? And from your side, my side is oral communication. From your side, is written communication, right? Am I clear? Or we can say we are both things, we're doing it partially. Formal medium like lectures, seminars, medium, etc. Now we have so many, like for example, now this is lecture. So these are the formal medium. Now in oral communication is used for the formal communications as well. For example, like this lecture. Then you have these seminars where this one person is talking, the other person is listening. When there is a meeting going on, when everybody's discussing things orally. Okay, and so all of these places we use oral communication. Clear? Yes. Now look at these 2 points which are very important, and you should understand these 2 points. Effectiveness depends on clear speech and tone. If you're talking and your tone and your speech is not clear and is not appropriate, in that case, your oral communication is not clear or not effective. Clarity is very important for writing as well as for oral thing, for both. Okay, you have to be clear in what you're saying. Otherwise, again, the communication is not effective. Then comes the use of right volume and speed while speaking. You need to have the right speed. Okay, like for example, some of you said that I'm fast. Yes. So if I'm fast and you're not able to understand me, then again, the communication is not effective. And tone, the right volume. If I'm too loud and if I'm too low, in both cases, you won't be able to understand what I'm saying. You will be just irritated, right? If I'm too slow, I'm like low, and my volume is too low while speaking, then you don't hear me and you don't understand what I'm saying. Again, the entire exercise goes. That entire exercise goes waste. Okay. So use of right volume and speed is very important. At times you hear people who are very loud. They're literally shouting, okay, while talking. And in that case, also not everybody can understand what the person is trying to say. At times when somebody is loud, people take them to be angry. Divya, I'll get it uploaded. I know the PPT is not there. I will get it uploaded after the class. Right? So volume and speed, again, both are essentials. Verbal communication is the easiest, fastest, and most successful form of communication. Yet, surprisingly, according to research, it comprises only 7% of all human communication. Can you beat that? Verbal communication being the fastest. For some, it's the fastest, it's easiest, and most successful form of communication. Yet, it is the only 7% of human communication uses that. All right, next is the essentials of oral communication. The first thing is pronunciation. Now, there's a very interesting line which is given in your study material. It says, grammar without pronunciation is like food without taste. What does that mean? Can anyone explain it to me? It says grammar without pronunciation is like food without taste. It is given on the page number 1.4. It's after essentials of oral communication. A point, the first line. Grammar without pronunciation is like food without taste. Quickly explain it to me. What does it mean? Who do you understand it means? No, it doesn't mean this. It doesn't mean that pronunciation is a must for grammar. No, no, no. What does it mean? Just imagine, draw the comparison. What does it mean, food without taste? No. Kriti, somewhere you are right. You say that if you don't pronounce any word correctly, then you might be misunderstood for something else. Okay, I take care of this point. But anything else? Any other take on it? The spark of communication is missing. Okay. Okay. So it means that even if your grammar is perfect, even if your sentence is perfect grammatically, if the pronunciation of the words is not correct, right? You basically miss onto the flavor of the sentence, what you're trying to say. Your sentence doesn't seem right. Okay. And when it says food without taste, that means maybe the food is cooked perfectly, right? But has no taste. It is tasteless, right? So the food is there, and all the ingredients are also there. So vocabulary is there, the grammar is there, punctuation is there, everything is there. But it doesn't seem something right. It doesn't, come out well. So, which is why pronunciation is very important when it comes to oral communication. You need to pronounce each word correctly. Okay. The accent of the way you talk, or the pronunciation of the word is important. Now, what do you mean by pronunciation? So pronunciation is basically a physical activity, right? There is a proper use of muscles when you are speaking. Okay, the muscles of the mouth, lungs, and lips, tongue, jaw, and voice, everything comes together to form a pronunciation. Is a very technical process, but because we learned it ever since we start growing up and ever since we start speaking, we don't realize it, right? If you remember, when a child is taught how to pronounce a particular word, it takes time. The child tries and understands, how can I pronounce this word, how can I form this word correctly. Okay, so it's a physical activity altogether, and but very essential for the for the language. Now, for the pronunciation part, what you can do is, what we generally do, or I generally do, is when I read some word which I'm not sure of how it is pronounced, I always check it on Google. Okay. Uh, right? So I was checking on Google that how this word is pronounced in a certain way. And as soon as you hear, you get an idea, right? So do not pronounce the words wrong. And one of you just said that you might be misunderstood for something else. That's true. If you mispronounce the word, you might change the entire word altogether. And changing a word means changing of the entire meaning of the sentence. Okay? Are we clear? Any questions? I'm coming on that. What is accent? Okay. Now, popular accent or popular way of pronouncing the words British English, the American, Indian, and Australian. So basically, their accents are pretty famous, and everybody tries to take the blend of these popular accents. Okay, so accent is basically when you pronounce a word in a certain way. So there's certain words that are pronounced differently in an American English and differently in British English. There's a slight difference between pronunciation, and that is how the accent totally changes because you're pronouncing the words in a different way. Okay, clear? Now, paying attention to the accent is very important while listening. So when you pay attention to the accent, you actually learn how to pronounce the words. Now, it is very good to expose yourself to the different accents so that when you are working or when you are into the profession globally, uh, the accent doesn't become the barrier to your communication. Like I just said, that there are certain words that are pronounced differently in American English and in British English. But if you understand both the accents and you can, create a distinction between both the accents, it becomes easy for you to work. Okay, probably you're Britisher and you want to work with you with some person who's American. You both can work together if you understand each other's language skills and each other's accent, right? So it makes it easier. It doesn't become one of the barriers of the language of communication. This is also a self-repair mechanism. Like I just said, the more you speak, the better you get. The more you will use a word, the pronunciation will get better. So it's the self-repair work. This is not something that somebody can teach you. This is something that you need to do it and work on yourself. You can watch movies from different, which has different accents, okay, so that you understand. And if you are so hesitant to talk to somebody new or, try a conversation with somebody, you can simply watch movie and grasp from there. Right? Now, the next essentials is listening and conversation. Now, listen intently to speak well. It says that you are not a good speaker if you are not a good listener. If you do not listen what the other person is saying, you can never be a good speaker. As listening happens, the mind subconsciously registers the accent, voice modulation, stress, grammar, and vocabulary. When you are listening to somebody, Nithal's only the first one, not the second one. Isha, I just explained. Accent means basically the pronunciation of the words. Okay. Now, if you listen to somebody carefully, when you're listening to somebody or when you're watching a movie again or when you're listening to the movie, our mind absorbs the words. Our mind registered some accents, voice modulation, stress, grammar, and vocabulary. At times, subconsciously, you absorbed a word which you don't even know, and you suddenly use it in your day-to-day language, right? So, to be a good speaker, you need to be a good listener first. You need to listen what the others have to say. It is essential to listen to the best models of language to improve it naturally. The more you listen, the better your conversation will get. So the more you listen, and it is important and it is good for you that you choose good models of the language. Like, for example, like I said, news channel. Okay, pick up the good news English channel, which can actually help you to, which helps you to improve your language. Now, next part comes is the spoken grammar. The spoken grammar and its role in the conversation. Okay, so now spoken grammar and its role is in the conversation is very important. It has to be complete, intelligible, and compelling for the listener to listen, respond relevantly and appropriately. Now, for the grammar, it is very important to understand. If your grammar is not correct, you might again change the entire meaning of the conversation. Okay, I'm going to write two sentences here. You tell me which is more appropriate. Okay. Which one do you think is more proper in terms of grammar? Aditi, everything is there on the YouTube, on the ICI channel. So you can find my previous lectures there. B. B is more proper, Divya. The first one, yes, the first one is more appropriate. Yes. So, I mean, if you're telling somebody didn't know you came late, it's not proper, right? Because there's something missing. The sentence structure is wrong. You don't start anything like that, right? A proper sentence or declarative sentence, basically, one don't start like this. So the first one is a proper question. Why do you say that? It's a proper question. And it's proper in its sense, it is complete in its sense. Okay. So when you speak something which is complete, you compel the other person. You basically grab the attention of the other person, and the listener might listen to you and help you. I mean, like, just respond to you. But if your sentence is not complete, the meaning is not complete, then the other person can't respond to you, right, appropriately. Now, spontaneous the spoken English is also spontaneous, unplanned, and rendered in real time with an opportunity for editing. Now, in spoken English, you are basically spontaneous. Of course, you are just on the spot. Whatever comes to you, you respond to that. It's unplanned. You can't plan your conversation. Okay. Not every conversation can be planned. Rendered in real time. Now, this is a real time basis conversation. This cannot be planned or deleted or edited. No, it is just done. Okay. Are we clear? Now, a tail and a question tag are important. They have a range of functions. Now, the punctuation or towards the end, things are very important because that basically explains the entire meaning. Now, it clarifies the content. If I say it's a picture, isn't that? So, I have a tail question which clarifies that I'm asking a question. I'm not asking you or I'm not telling you. Expressing a personal attitude or judgment of an item. Now, in spoken English, you can express your personal attitude or judgment. Fillers or back channels. Now, there are few exclamatory words that you can use in your spoken English, and that can actually fill up the conversation and that can give some meaning to it as well. Now, group of words, ready-made phrases that can cut, copy, paste while speaking, like sort of, kind of, stuff like that, a bit, a little bit. I mean, there are certain phrases that you just use it casually in your spoken English and that just add something to it, right? And that can be used in your conversation, right? Correctly. Next comes the fourth point, basically noticing language. Now, noticing language is more important in order to emphasize the need for learner to analyze the features of spoken language and produce these features in your own speech. Now, it is very important that you notice how the other person is talking, right? You can actually pick so much from there, like I just told you. Otherwise, also that when you listen to somebody, you need to notice the language to grasp how the other person is speaking. What is the kind of language that the person is using? What kind of vocabulary this person is using? So you grab a lot of things from there. And if you and you basically yes, which are business specific, Sajpreet, you can use. These are not specific to business English, but you can use if that's appropriate. Now, be enthusiastic and honest. Now, if you want to learn from something, then you need to be enthusiastic and honest about it. You need to connect with your audience while you are speaking. Your audience can be one person, your audience can be 50 people, but you need to have such a language skill that you grab the attention. You need to focus on your audience need. Keep it simple, concentrate on your core message. You need to make it easy for your audience to understand and respond. Smile and making eye contact with your audience. So this is basically when you are basically communicating with the larger number of people. Start strongly, connect. And you basically connect with somebody on that. Okay. Now, this was about it. Then comes the presentation face-to-face or video interview. Now, you need to know the essentials of these things, how you can give a presentation, because presentation face-to-face and video interview, these are all part of oral communication. So you need to know how to present yourself, how you can give face-to-face, what kind of language you can use. And then there's a video interview, how you need to present yourself, what are the essentials, what are the do's and don'ts. So you need to prepare yourself for all of these things if you want to be effective and if you want to do well in that. Am I clear? Are we clear? So these are the verbal communications that we've been discussing. If there is any problem, you can ask me now. Otherwise, I am going to start with the non-verbal communication. Sajpreet, I said yes, you can. But that needs to business English specific. Any problem? Anyone? Which point? Okay, so vocabulary is basically you need to have a certain kind of vocabulary that you need to know. If you do not know the vocabulary, although you will be discussing this in chapter number 3 in details, there's an entire chapter of vocabulary, that's why vocabulary is important. But just to give you a gist of it, without vocabulary, you cannot understand what the other person is saying, and you cannot express yourself in in a better way. If you don't know the appropriate words that need to be used while having conversation, you cannot express yourself, and you won't be able to convey the correct message. Similarly, if again you don't know the vocabulary and if you are the receiver of the conversation, you won't understand what the sender is trying to say or what kind of a message the person has sent to you. You won't be able to decode. Clear? So having a knowledge about vocabulary is very, very important again. Okay, are we clear? Okay, now let's start with the non-verbal communication. Now, non-verbal communication is basically when you are sending and receiving wordless messages. There are no words involved. but yet you are communicating. That's a very strong way. And I think if you do not know somebody's style and everything, then it gets difficult for you to understand what the other person is trying to say. Now, these messages can aid verbal communication. It can help verbal communication. These things help. For example, I said like somebody's angry. Lakshata, up to you. Ziba, I'll come back to you this after non-verbal. Okay, so it can aid. Aid means it can help the verbal communication, convey thoughts and feelings contrary to the spoken words, or express ideas and emotions on their own. Now, the non-verbal can add on to it. It can make it better also, it can make it worse also. So you need to know which kind of non-verbal expression to use. Some of the functions of non-verbal communication in humans are to contemplate and illustrate, to reinforce and emphasize, to control and regulate, to contribute to the noted message. Now, some functions are to complicate and illustrate. That means what I'm speaking, I am showing, right? If I'm angry, my face says so that I'm angry too. To reinforce and emphasize, basically, if I am happy and if I'm talking something in my face and my body language is telling you that I'm happy, so that just adds on to it. Basically, it reinforces and emphasizes on it. To replace and substitute. Okay, at times, non-verbal communication can actually replace what you were actually saying, right? So probably you're angry, but your face doesn't say that you're angry. So, the entire thing goes wrong. To contradict the denoted message, you are basically not agreeable to what the message is, and you express it through non-verbal way. Now, what are the types of non-verbal communication? One is physical, the other is paralanguage, third is aesthetic, and fourth is the appearance. I think that's all. And there's fifth one, also symbols, which I forgot to mention here. Now, what is physical thing? It's very easy. In physical, we talk about the body language, basically. Now, body language includes facial expressions, gestures, touches, physical signals. Now, for example, a physical signals and you're leaning forward may mean that you're friendly. I'm coming on to that, don't worry. So physical signals can constitute also this, like, for example, you lean towards somebody, that means you're friendly, acceptance or interest. So or if you're sitting crossed arms, that is interpreted as that you're very defensive and you're not agreeable to the situation. So you're giving love physical signals. Facial expressions, what your face says. Gestures is what you show in your behavior. And touches is basically, again, how you show it through your body language. Right? Now, researchers estimate show that physical and non-verbal communication constitutes for 55% of all communication. Now, most of the communication done is the non-verbal. Smiles, frowns, pursing of lips, clenching of wrists, transmit emotions which are not expressed through verbal communication at times. And mostly, people don't express in words, they express in their behavior. Okay, are we clear, guys? Are we clear? Any problem, then we move to stance. Is basically your attitude or your posture of how you're sitting and how you're behaving. Stances is basically the attitude. How you're behaving in certain situation, what is your attitude and what is your outlook. Clear? Okay, great. Now let's come to para language. Now, para language is the way you say something more than actual words used reveal the intent of the language. The voice quality, intonation, intonation, pitch, stress, tone, style of speaking communicate approval and interest or the lack of it. Research estimates the tone of voice accounts for 38% of all communication. Now, paralanguage is basically when you express more than the words, basically you express in the way of quality, intonation, pitch, stress, tone, or style of speaking, right? So you basically communicate that you approve of situation, you are interested in it, or your lack of it, anything. Okay. Now, aesthetic comes the art forms. Yes, you express yourself in the form of dance, painting, music. This is also your art, and you express your emotions, your ideas, and your thoughts as an artist. Okay. Appearance. Now, appearance is basically how you dress up, how you look. That says a lot. If you are well dressed, you are groomed, it is presumed that you are organized, you're methodical person. You like to be there on time to do finish things and everything. But if you are shabbily dressed, that doesn't create a good impression. For example, you go for a job interview and you're dressed up very well. The impression would be that this person wants a job. This person is interested in this job. But if you go for a job interview and you're not properly dressed up, probably your shirt is not ironed, and your hair are not properly done, and anything, your physical appearance is not very presentable, the interviewer will automatically understand that you're not interested in the job. That person will not give you the job, right? Because the person will feel that you're not interested because you did not feel the need of dressing up for it, right? So dressing up or appearance matters a lot. How you reach to a certain place. Symbols as religious and sectarian symbols. Now these symbols also express a lot. Basically, you are expressing your belief, right, when you are talking about the symbols. Am I clear? Is there anything that you want me to discuss again? Otherwise, we'll quickly take up a quiz session. So rest, I am not touching up right now. I will be doing it in the next class. I can just quickly finish the visual communication. So visual communication, innovation is to try something new, to do something new. I'll just take 5 minutes more to complete the visual communication. So visual communication is basically when you communicate through signs, drawings, graphic design, illustrations, colors, or electronic resources that is used to reinforce the written communication. It may replace the written communication altogether. It is a very powerful medium because a lot of people are interested in visualization rather than the verbal and non-verbal things. People understand when they look at something better, and it is easy to communicate what you're trying to say. So for example, you want to give a report of what is happening in the project, how did this product do in the market, basically. So you can actually create the entire sales graph or pie chart and express it. This is what's the response of the product, and any person would understand that better than the words or the oral communication. So diagrammatic or the visual representation of things is the best way to communicate to you what you are thinking, right? And it is, of course, needless to say, this is officially used oftenly in the market. Okay. Okay, are we clear? Yes. All right. Now, ask me questions if you have any. Otherwise, I'll take up the questions. I'll give you the questions to answer. No, Lakshita, no chart can be asked in the exam. You can let me know if everything is clear to you. If you have any question, you can ask me. Ishan, aesthetic mean when you are expressing yourself and your views in the form of art. When you are doing a painting, a person is expressing his or her feelings. Dance, music, you basically take a help of art to express whatever you're trying to say. Intonation is basically the tone, how you modulate your voice, the rise and the fall of voice while speaking. So that is intonation. So the kind of pitch you use to express your feelings. Any questions? Reinforce means to repeat and to lay emphasis on it again and again. And contradict is basically you want to say something totally against it. Okay. Now you have to tell me. Oh, can you see the PPT? Okay, now quickly, let's start. What is communication? Forget communication. Why don't you answer me the question number 5? Why appearance is also considered as type of communication? What do you think? You have to tell me what is your opinion about that appearance is also considered as type of communication. Why? You have to give me a reason for it. Question number 5, A part. Why appearance is also considered as type of communication? Quickly, we just have 3 minutes. Quickly send in your answers. Okay. Okay. Everybody wants to understand what paralanguage is. So, paralanguage is basically when you express yourself more than what you are speaking. You, in your way of your voice quality, your intonation, your stress, tone, and style of speaking, you express more than the words, right? If you're angry and if you're trying to, use good words to, calm the situation out, but your voice actually says that you're very angry. Your style of speaking tells that you're very angry. So even if you're not expressing that in words, your tone and your style of speaking tells somebody that you're very angry. So that is paralanguage. Like people use a tone of voice more. Now, paralanguage is just about this. It is not about your facial expression. It is about your tone, how you're speaking, how you're stressing on the words, which words you're choosing to stress on, or where your pitch is high, low. Everything to do with the tone is paralanguage. Clear? No, paralanguage is not facial expression. Paralanguage is all about facial expression is part of physical non-verbal communication when you're physically expressing something, but paralanguage is about tones, and aesthetic is about art forms, appearance is about how you dress up and how you look, and symbols is about the kind of symbols you use. Now, ego building symbols are something to do with religion, status. No, Karan, I won't be teaching you all the chapters, but I think I'm teaching you about 4-5 chapters from this course. Now, I feel the answer should be that appearance talks a lot about your mindset. How you dress up and how you appear at a situation says a lot about how you feel about the situation, right? So definitely you are communicating in your way of dressing up, and your message is pretty loud and clear. You are like really loud the way you dress up. So definitely appearance is part of the communication. It should be considered because that's how it is. I mean, you make the judgment about somebody while looking at the person right away. Yes, you do. Everyone does. You look at somebody and you form a judgment about somebody, right? So that's all for today. And now I will be taking up another session on Wednesday, and we will be continuing the same chapter. Till then, if there is any question, you can ask me. I mean, go through what we have done today, and if there is any question, you can ask me in the next class. Yes, definitely, Shruti. Perfect. Your answer is correct. Okay, bye bye. Have a good evening, and I'll see you on Wednesday now. Bye bye. And do not forget to fill out the feedback form. Do that. Hello.